SSR is prepared for the future. The leadership team we have in place is very well suited for this particular time and place in our future, and I have no doubt that there's going to be great things happen.
Welcome to SSR On Air. I'm Mike Rogers, your host for this monthly podcast brought to you by Smith Seckman Reed. Tune in as I interview leaders, colleagues, and clients about what is going on internally at SSR and in the larger engineering community. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Good to be here.
Yeah, glad to see you.
One more time.
Yeah, one more time. So, for those of you that don't know, we got Steve Lane here with us today, and going to join us and talk a little bit about his new role coming up, and as he kind of moves out of the CEO position and what that means, and a little bit about the history and some things that he's done here over time. So, looking really to give us a chance to recap and look forward to a little bit of both.
Good.
Sound good?
Excited about it.
All right. So first let's talk timeline. So what's the current timeline? What are we doing with your role, and what are you moving into, and what does that mean?
September 1st, I'm going to be retiring or resigning from the CEO role, and I'll move into a different capacity. I'll be chairman of the board for a while. We're not sure yet how long that's going to be.
Okay. So what does chairman of the board mean? Because a lot of people don't know what that means, right?
It means you're over everything. You're in charge of everything that happens, but you make no decisions and you have no power. So that's what it's really about.
Okay.
No, the board is the governing body of our company. So the chairman of the board is the person that just sort of resides over the meetings, that makes sure things progress. Really doesn't have a lot to do with what the board does or the decisions it makes. It's kind of an administrative function where you provide scheduling, you keep people on track, you try to move forward to a decision, and you work with the different board members to try to make sure that the board is looking out after the best interest of the company.
So it's a guidance role.
Advisor, ambassador kind of role.
Yeah. So you still stay plugged in a lot of ways, and still have access to some of our client needs that we have that you've fulfilled over the years.
Well, we'll see. The transition part of it, some things that we've talked about me doing would be being the chair of the board, continue to work with some of our key clients and relationships that I have over the last 45 years. Also things about risk management. I'm really passionate about how we're going to reduce the risk of this company. So that's going to be one of the functions that I'll sort of help foster or be a sponsor for, is how do we continue to be aware of our risks and how do we minimize those as much as possible. I'm going to be involved in different kinds of civic and professional organizations, as I always have been, to help keep SSR out in front of the community, in front of our profession, and just give us a chance, us as being SSR, to continue to be very visible in the marketplace.
Yeah, that's good. And so you've been with SSR as of this September. It'll be how long?
June 5th was my 45th anniversary with SSR.
Yeah.
So it's hard to believe, and it's flown by. It feels like I can remember the first 5 or 6 years. I can kind of remember it. The last 5 or 6 years, I can kind of remember it, but in between, it's a blur. Yeah. What happened in between is a lot of good things happened.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can recap a few of those things. So you've been my boss for 23 years. So
wow.
Yeah. 23 years straight. So yeah. Time flies.
Interestingly, I've had two bosses at SSR. One has been Tom Seckman, and the other is Rob Barrick. So I've thought, well, Tom was the CEO, first CEO. Rob was the second. I've been the third. So I've been blessed by having a chance to work with both of those individuals.
Yeah. So 45 years ago, when you came on board, how big was SSR?
Mike, I don't know. Roughly. It was probably 30 people, 30 to 50 people.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much single discipline. We are single services. We were working in healthcare doing MEP. I was the first non-MEP engineer that worked for SSR. So that started some of the diversification. who would have ever thought that a civil engineer would end up kind of being the leader of an MEP firm?
A big MEP, yeah.
But that's one of the things I'll probably talk about later. This is a business first, and it just happens to be that we provide engineering services. And I think that's been one of the big elements, or one of the big discussions that we've had over the last 10 or 12 years is we are a business first, and how do we run a business? And the fact that I'm an engineer or that we do engineering work is not really the full driver of what makes us successul.
Yeah, it's our product in a way.
It's our product.
For sure.
It's our deliverable. It's what we do, and lots of people do lots of things in different businesses. So that's what's really inspired me and motivated me. That how do we create the best business we can be? How do we create a sustainable business, one that's going to be here for another 50 years? How do we create opportunities for people to have long careers? One of the things that I talk to all our new employees about is I've been here X years, and 45 years. I had a call on my anniversary date, and I talked about with this group, and I do it with all the groups. What is it that we can do as leaders and managers to make this be the last place you work? I think it would be nothing better than everybody, this is their last job. Now, I know that's maybe unrealistic and not probable, but there's nothing that says as an organization we can't aspire to do that. We can't be managers, leaders, and companions and friends of the people that work here and give them an opportunity. The way we do that is we have to give everybody opportunities. We have to give them opportunities to do what they want to do in their career. That probably gives me a pause to think about, why am I in the role I'm in, or why did I do what I ended up doing? I've wanted to be an engineer probably my whole life. I worked for an engineering company when I was 12 years old. I was the custodian. I came in and cleaned the office. My dad worked there. Yeah. I ran blueprints. I did all kinds of things in the evenings, on weekends. And I said, what is this these guys do, or these people do? And they had blueprints and designing different things. So I said, this is what I wanted to do. Yeah. So from 12 or 13 years old, I knew I wanted to do this. And then 16 or 17, I continued to think about, this is what I wanted to do. Now, there was another passion I had. I wanted to play professional baseball. Right. And that was the first thing, but I didn't, you never know if that's going to work out. So I think engineering was a pretty good fallback position.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Well, and you went to a great school to give you both those options, right? Vanderbilt.
I did. I was fortunate enough to be offered a baseball scholarship at Vanderbilt, so I had a full scholarship for 4 years. So I got a great education, a great school, a great city. Another way to think about this, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in this seat in Nashville had it not been for baseball and Vanderbilt. So I owe a lot to both of those things. And I continue to be heavily involved in Vanderbilt now and really participate in a lot of things at the university.
Yeah, I know you do, and attend a lot of events there and have a lot of friends that are still there in some way. So, yeah.
Sure do.
That's exciting. So I mean, it's a long history, and there's a lot that we could cover along the way, and it's probably not fair to ask about individual, events and what was your favorite this, what was your favorite that, but you can't leave it at that. You got to say something. What are you most proud of as you roll out would be a good one to start.
I think it kind of falls into a couple of different categories. One is the engineering profession. What is it that are some of the biggest engineering projects that I've worked on? And I'll start with that. What's really exciting to me is I'm an environmental engineer, civil engineer by training. So the things that I did during my engineering early days were work on systems and processes and treatment plants that would treat water and wastewater. And it's really exciting to think about you're protecting the environment, you're doing all kinds of things to clean up what's going on in the world. But the fun thing is to envision it, create it, get it designed and built, and then watch it operate and see the impact it has on the environment and cleaning up the river. Now, the next part of that is to go back 15 to 20 years on those same projects that I worked on in the 80s and 90s and get to work on them 20 years later and see the technology and the advances and the improvements that happened in that industry in those processes. And maybe even a chance to improve some of the things we didn't do as well as we did 20 years ago to make them better. So that, I mean, it's always been about how do we clean up the environment, how do we make things safer. And my master's degree was a study of the river, the assimilative capacities of rivers, and how do waterways remove pollutants that you are discharged from wastewater plants or surface water runoff. So I'm a geek from that perspective. I mean, I love that kind of discussions.
Yeah, and even that has changed dramatically over that time frame. When you think about the rivers back in the 80s, I mean, you're talking about Superfund cleanups and all. I mean, and the technology that was needed then, and the thought process, and now we've just stepped up the game along the way.
Yeah, the kinds of pollutants that get put into the water are changing. I mean, there's forever chemicals. There's technical names for them, but you all look up forever chemicals and you'll find out about them. Yeah. So how do engineers, how do scientists, chemists, how do they continue to remove and protect the environment, protect people's lives by the treatment processes? We have a lot of good engineers, good technicians here, people that are passionate about doing that, and it's fun to see them. It's fun to listen to them talk about it, and it's also fun now to come back in and quiz them a little bit, give them some ideas, and think, did you think about this, or you remember when this used to happen? There was an article that one of our really sharp engineers wrote about tube settlers or plate settlers. Well, I sent him some information about the research that I'd done on that many years ago. So it doesn't always change. There's still some similarities, but it's fun to see how it evolves.
Well, I think you're right about the passion. I mean, it's the same thing when you talked about the people that work in our healthcare group and the passion they have for healthcare. It's not just I want to do a cool design because the hospitals are complex. It's about at the end of the stream is that patient that's being taken care of, and at the end of the stream, no pun intended, same thing. The water. I think people have a lot of feelings towards that, and it's interesting because most people just take it for granted, right? That the water's there, the things are clean, we can drink them. It's not
flush
always
the toilet, turn on the tap, and you're going to get, it's going to go away, and what you get back is going to be clean and safe.
Yeah.
Something I'll never forget. One of my graduate professors said that environmental engineers have saved more lives than all the doctors in the world could ever do.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And doctors may not want to hear that, but just the creating safe, clean drinking water. And impact on the environment.
Yeah.
So that's the engineering part. I mean, I still love to talk about it. I still like to go tour water and wastewater plants. My wife always kids me. We would go on trips, and I'd see a sewage treatment plant or a water plant, and we'd pull in. We'd go tour it, and I'd tell them who I was, and we'd get the tour. Well, my wife and kids got tired of it, so I could stop. I could get the nickel tour of the facility, and introduce myself, get a card, and try to see if there's a chance to work for that group in the future. But my wife did go with me one time, and she said I wanted the nickel tour, and I got the $5 tour. So she trashes me about that regularly.
Probably okay with the water treatment plants, probably not so much with the wastewater treatment plants.
I don't think she cares about either one of them. She just wants to flush it and go away and turn on the tap, and it comes back.
Yeah, like most of us. But well, that's good. I mean, it's good that you had that passion that carried through, because it's the underlying thing, and the reason why we do a lot of things.
Sure.
Outside of that are the passions that we have underneath it. So, and you mentioned you've been involved in a lot of things from community based and Nashville based and all. So what are some of those things that you really feel strongly about still involved with?
There's one in particular, the Middle Tennessee Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't said this to many people here. My son, who's 37 now, I guess, he was born with birth defects, and he has had about 30 operations. His first one was the first 12 hours of his life. And my wife and I were there at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital going through all that. And there was a family. We had all kinds of support structure around us. Grandparents and everybody came to be there supportive of us. There are lots of people that don't have that opportunity, or they don't live this close to a major children's hospital. Helen and I got involved in the creation and formation of the Middle Tennessee Ronald McDonald's House. So that was,
Yeah.
gosh, that was 35 years ago, I guess. 37 years ago.
Wow.
It was right after he was born. I think it opened 34 years ago. So that's something that I was on the board, served as president for multiple terms for that organization, and my wife and I are still on the advisory board. So I mean, that is something that
good stuff.
Probably some of the discussions we're going to get to about what I'm going to do next. Well, that is one that I'm going to certainly be volunteering at the Ronald McDonald House. It's over next to Vanderbilt, which is another place that I go a lot. So that's very convenient.
Yeah, I've seen it over there. So
other things with professional societies, I mean, the Tennessee Society of Professional Engineers, the American Council of Engineering Companies, all those where you get a chance to impact the business end of engineering. So I kind of tended to like that more than some of the other things.
Yeah. No, that's great.
The list is long.
Oh, yeah.
But there's some that you get more passionate about. And I mean, that's one thing that when I talk to people, colleagues and other people at SSR, they ask, how do they get involved? How can they get involved in something? I said, I don't know how you're going to do that, but first find something that you're passionate about, that you want to do, that you look forward to being involved with, and not something that because me or one of your managers on performance say you need to get involved in some civic or charity organization. Do it because you want to.
Yeah, get a lot better results doing that. So, yeah, and I know that you're involved in a lot of professional societies throughout the whole time frame as well, and I think that's a key to what we need to do, and those are about giving back to the profession and growing young engineers and all the things that we talk about doing.
Yeah, I think it's about giving back to the profession. It's also about advancing the profession. It's about advancing your own skills and abilities. One of probably the hardest job I've ever had, or hardest role I've ever had, was being president of the Ronald McDonald House Board. It's 15 or 18 all volunteers that you've got to maneuver, influence, help them make decisions. You have no way to hold them accountable to do what they say they're going to do. So you learn to influence. You learn to make things happen or help things happen by influencing people and helping cast a vision, helping cast an idea, and then staying persistent.
Yeah, and that works in life in so many ways, right?
It works here too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's true. You know, you can persuade people and get a lot better results than any other leverage you might have. So
if you can make it part of what they want to do, and it becomes a passion or something win their hearts and minds, you have a great deal more success.
Yeah. So let me jump back to SSR a little bit, and the 45 years, obviously, tons and tons of changes with SSR as a whole, with the engineering and what we do, and where the company's going, and people have seen the great success that we've had, really, and we've been on an upswing for a little while now. Ever since the downturn in 2011-12, I guess we've been doing pretty well and on a much better path. Much to do with your leadership and your vision of that thing. So, as you sit back now and look back at that and look forward, what do you see coming for SSR, for the engineering community, the industry as a whole? What are your thoughts there?
One thing I'll say is I think SSR is in an unbelievable position right now. Financially, we're very strong. We have a strong balance sheet. We have, a good earning stream. We have a record backlog. We have a lot of great people that are committed to SSR. We're in great markets. We're in great geographies. We are primed. And I will say there could not be a better time to leave an organization. If you want to, I think about people. I always kind of come back to athletics. If somebody wins a Super Bowl or the World Series or something, and they're near the end of their career, what a better time to transition out on that kind of a high note. And I kind of feel like that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
SSR is prepared for the future. The leadership team we have in place is very well suited for this particular time and place in our future, and I have no doubt that there's going to be great things happen. I'm reminded often about something Lester Smith and Tom Seckman both said. They said they had no idea that SSR would become the kind of company that it is now. I spend, one of the great things about being part of the founder generation is that I got to know Andy, Bobby, Tom, and Lester very well, and I still get together with Lester routinely and talk. And he always talks about. He said we had no idea when we created SSR that it could be anything like it is today. And that's what I'm thinking right now. I cannot even imagine what 10 or 15 years from now will be and what SSR will have become. And I know it will be even bigger and better and a greater place to work than it is now.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think it is hard to imagine, and things are moving so fast. And what's that saying you always say about how fast things are moving?
We must go faster.
We must go faster, yeah.
Let me go back about 12 years. Here's a flashback. There were a couple of things that I started saying in 2011 was we must go faster. And for many of you all, it came from two movies. It came from Jurassic Park and Independence Day. The same person said both of those lines. Who was it?
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
In Jurassic Park, they're trying to get away from a T-Rex, and it's chasing them. And you can see it in the mirror. And he says we must go faster because they're about to get eaten by the T-Rex. And then on Independence Day, probably my favorite movie of all time. They plant a bomb or missile in this alien spaceship, and they're trying to get out before it blows up.
Right.
And he says we must go faster. So in some of the original classes, connections, and other things, those two movie clips would be shown. And maybe we could find those. Maybe we could find those clips and show them. Yeah. So we must go faster. And we have picked up the pace. And SSR historically was probably slow to react, and change was not something that we did very easily. Mm-hmm. And I think we've learned to adapt. We've learned to be more nimble and agile. Another comment that I started making is we got to change habits and raise expectations. And I don't know if anybody really knew what that meant. But to me, it meant we've got to figure out what we can do better. We've got to change the way we've acted and reacted. We've got to perform better. We were a good performing firm, but we were not a high performing firm. So I had a list of people on the back of my door, names, and I would put it. Probably shouldn't even tell this. I had and you may want to edit this out. But I had a chart of names, and it was initials at that time because we all went by initials. Right. And I would go through, and my job was to make sure everybody on the back of that door I had a check mark by. Well, I didn't get everybody, but I got a lot of them. And the check mark was, do they understand what change habits and raise expectations mean? And do they understand what it means that they have to do? And you got a check mark by your name, just so
good.
You know.
I was wondering about that. Huh? Good.
But that was, I think, to me, how we started shifting SSR. We were always a great place to work, but we have become a great place to work and a place that's a business that's high performing, and we're creating wealth opportunities and value creation for everyone that works here.
Yeah, and I think we talk about high performing, and people tend to think about just business when it comes to that, but there's a lot of pride in being a high performing company and being involved in a high performing company. I mean, I hear people talk about it, and when they realize that, hey, I'm part of this really efficient machine that's doing great work and great things, and oh, by the way, I like what I'm doing, it's a big plus. So that definitely was a change.
Success is, if you have success, it breeds reinvestment and energy, and people get excited and passionate about it. Yeah. I mean, it's fun to see people take pride in what we do. It's fun to see people get interested in the outcomes. Yeah. And I think I know our ESOP is really a big element of that we create this culture of ownership. And I'm excited about where that's going. I'm excited about the new Employee Ownership Council that we're starting to give help create a better understanding of what ownership means to SSR.
Yeah. So what out of all these things, what would you miss the most?
Oh man. I don't know that there's anything, not one thing I'm going to miss the most.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm going to miss the opportunity. It would have evolved. 10 years ago, I don't think I would have given this answer. But today, and I know what I'm going to miss, is the opportunity to help individuals reach their potential. Mm-hmm. How do we help people grow and develop and lead in ways they never thought possible? How do they become more inspired or more influential, and how do they continue to create success? I'm going to miss seeing that. I mean, there's, lots of people here that I've watched them develop and grow, and, some of them are, starting to hit peak. I mean, they're starting to hit the real high growth curve. Others, you can see the potential, and they're just not quite there. Others are already at the, up where they need to be. So I'm going to miss that. I had a call with one of our leaders a few weeks ago, and that was the question he asked. Well, no, he didn't even ask it. He said, "You're going to miss this, aren't you?" Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a conversation I have with about 40 people every month, not individually about 40 people, and it's always I won't say it's motivational. It's me trying to learn more about what they're doing and how they're thinking, but it's also a chance to share ideas and concepts and try to figure out what they think is important, and maybe influence a little bit, maybe inspire a little bit, maybe inform a little bit, but also learn. I learn a lot. I learn a lot from the conversations.
Yeah, I always find it interesting that as we get, further in our career, later in the career, we start to think in terms of how long do we have to observe these things. Right? And you want to see more. You want to see more about where it's going to be and where it's going to go, and you realize that timeline's going to run out on you. So it's a bittersweet kind of feeling.
I haven't gotten to that part yet. I haven't realized the timeline has run out. I've got a few more days or weeks before that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss the relationships and the seeing and being part of people's change and people's development and their advancement.
Yeah.
Another comment there, term that I say all the time is, people have to have a natural curiosity. And I don't know if that's unique to engineers. To be an engineer, you probably have more of that. It's not unique to engineers. I've got this desire to know what's going on, why something's happening, and really I can't let it go. I just cannot let something go until I think I understand it, or at least understand it enough to talk intelligently about it. Yeah. And I want to see, or I think we can see more of that in the people at SSR. We've got some of it, but I'd like to see that really become a theme or some ideas that people, how do they learn? How do they grow? How do they develop? Examples, ChatGPT. I mean, I've been using it for 6 months now, and I don't do anything beneficial with it, but I use it. Mm-hmm. A drone, I bought one. I don't know why. I just had one. I wanted to learn how to do it. I'm going to have to get my pilot's license to learn how to officially fly it. But how do we create that desire to grow and learn, and that curiosity to be better? Mm-hmm. And some people are, they don't really want to do that, but I think SSR's got a whole lot of people that do.
Well, yeah, I think there's no doubt we do. I have conversations with a lot of the younger engineers as well, and they ask very good questions, and you can tell that it's not just hey, I'm curious. I'm really want to know. They're looking you in the eye and they're saying, what did you think about this? What did you do? Simple questions like, what do you regret, or what did you miss that you wish you had done, kind of things. And they're really, I think they're taking it in and they're digesting it and going, okay, what does that mean for me?
There's some people I don't like to have conversations with because they're asking hard questions right immediately, and I think, let's go back to something easy. I mean, ask me about an AR report or something. Not what's going to be the disruptors in our industry that's going to change the way we live, work, and do the things we do. Now, I'll talk about that too. But I think that is another topic. Maybe we can touch base on that, about what are some of the disruptors, what are the changes that I think are coming.
No, I think that's a good one, because I think that it's inevitable, and we see it out in the industry and we can feel it. So, if you had to pick a couple of things that are going to change the way we do work and the way and our role in the work.
Sure.
Those are probably the two biggest topics: what we do and how we do it, and then why do we do it.
In some of the industry involvements that I've been in, that has been a topic, and I've been fortunate to participate in CEO groups and peer groups with firms that are much bigger than us and have a whole department of resources to talk about disruptors. I think two big disruptors are, one is going to be how deliverable, how our product are buildings or the roads, how does it get built? What's the process, the way it occurs, and the methodology that it happens. Butch E. Lee, who's the Tennessee Department of Transportation, is a good friend of mine for 35 years. And over the last 2 years, I've had a chance to spend a good bit of time with him talking about Tennessee Department of Transportation and how it needs to evolve. We talked about it takes 7 years from a project to start in Tennessee Department of Transportation, at least 7 years on average to get completed. And that's just too long.
Yeah.
So how are we going to get things to market faster? Commissioner Ely talked about yesterday morning to a room of people how they're going to revamp the department to have, he described it like a pit crew. Instead of having silos, you threw things over the wall time to time to somebody else to move it forward. When something comes in, a pit crew comes in, and you've got 8 or 10 different people from different parts of the organization or the car working on it to fix it, so you're done in 30 seconds. Change the tires, the oil, the engine, you do everything in 30 seconds. So that's going to be something we're going to have, not us as a whole, but our industry is going to have to understand.
Sure.
Is how do we get deliverables to market sooner? The other is going to be, what is the role of technology going to be? What's the role of AI going to be? And how can the more traditionalist thinking about what the role of an engineer is, how do we start to think about it differently? I'm convinced that AI is going to have a place, and it's going to help us make pick better outcomes, better solutions, better designs, better equipment, and it's going to allow the engineer or the project manager or the consultant to spend more time with the client to help them advance the total solution that they're looking for. I guess I would have one suggestion for the people at least one suggestion for the people at SSR. Think long and much wider than your discipline. Think much wider than your, what you're doing on the plans and specifications on the model. Think about what that end user, the owner, the client, the fan at the ball game, the patient at the hospital, what are they going to see, and how can we make that experience better?
Right.
Yeah, we came up with a term a few years ago, exceptional client experience. And I always added for all the stakeholders involved. I think that's how SSR can really differentiate ourselves. So changing the way it's done, delivery methods, and how technology and innovation can help us be better.
Yeah, and I think that plays to how our role changes in that, and that's what you're speaking to a little bit. And certainly the delivery methods, we're already seeing those change,
yes.
On sites and projects. And, design and build has been around for a long time, and it's really heating up now, I think. And I think that's a piece of the puzzle. And then how the contractors actually deliver it as well. Our designs need to start flexing into their process so that we're feeding into their process and not just here's what it looks like at the end of the day, regardless of how you put this model together, this piece together. So I think all that is a part of what you're talking about.
I love to see our engineers and our project managers that are in owner meetings or in the project meetings, when they're not just sitting on the sideline waiting for their spot on the agenda. Be at the table, be engaged, and provide input and provide knowledge that can help the entire project team be better. I think we're doing much better at that. I think there's room for opportunities for us to, this natural curiosity, go in knowing some things that we could do to help make the outcomes better.
Yeah. No, that's what's well said. I think you hit on it there. Is that we have a lot of knowledge that we've built up over the years, and we sit there and think about just our discipline in these meetings, and that's not our value is there, but it's so much greater if we can bring everything to bear.
I think that's just a small percentage of the value we have.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that will help also change what our role is as we move forward in these things. As a trusted advisor, what does that mean?
Yes.
It's more than that. So
you're making me miss it already. I mean, you're making me think about the
What's
things that
next?
we're going to do,
Yeah.
and
oh yeah,
but the good news is I'll still have a chance to have some impact and influence,
oh yeah. Well, no doubt.
and learn and
Mm-hmm.
do something different.
Yeah, yeah. Time for a new leaf turnover. So with that, what is what's on your agenda? What are you going to do?
What's next?
What's next? What are you going to do that's fun? What are you going to do that's get you up out of bed in the morning?
I guess I could just say two answers to that. One answer is it will be a mosaic of things. But then the other answer is I'm going to do whatever I want to do and when I want to do it.
Right.
Some of you probably know that I'm a big Post-it note user. So about 9 or 10 months ago, I put a Post-it note inside my dresser, and I said it's to do in retirement. And it was a little Post-it note. And I just started writing down a few words. So things I wanted to make sure I did as I retired. Well, I looked this morning and there's 9 Post-it notes inside my dresser, and I can't read my writing. I don't know what some of them are. So there's lots of chores, lots of activities, lots of things that I'm going to do, that I just put off.
Yeah.
But I guess a better answer is, I'm going to really spend a lot more time with family.
Yeah.
I've got 2 grandkids. I've got my wife and I've been married for over 44 years, and we're going to travel more. And sometimes she'll start talk about travel. And I said, I don't know how we can travel much more. I mean, we've been very blessed and done a lot of things, but we're going to spend a lot more time with family, with traveling. I'm going to continue to be. I've got a couple of charity organizations I'm going to be involved in mentorship and coaching and development. So I'm going to do some of that. Let me tell you, probably maybe the fun thing or the biggest thing we've got planned on September 1st is my last day as a full-time employee. September 4th, we leave for a month-long cruise. We're going to Norway, Greenland, and Iceland on a National Geographic cruise.
Nice.
Now, it's interesting and it's perfect, too. Every day on the cruise ship, you do something, and then there's a reception in the evening where a naturalist or one of the National Geographic staff talks about what did we see, what did we learn, and they tell us about the next day. So it's not going to be one of those cruise ships or cruises that you picture where you sit on the deck and have a cocktail and watch line dancing. We're going to eat a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But this is going to be about natural curiosity, learning, and continue to advance just your intellect.
That sounds like
and it's not going to be hot. I mean, we got fitted for parkas and boots that come up to your knees. So we're going to see the northern lights. I hope we're going to see a lot of different wildlife. We'll be out on Zodiacs touring, so that's going to be fun to do. It's taken. I just can't wait to go.
Yeah, long time coming. So
first, it will be probably the first time that since email's been around that I've been off of email for more than 24 hours. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm not even going to.
Do you think you can do it?
No, I really don't.
Yeah.
But
you'll be out there with your satellite phone trying to figure out how to.
I do have one reserved, but I will figure it out.
Yeah.
So that will be a fun trip. Then we're going to spend. We've got 4 or 5 other trips planned for the first 6 months.
Yeah, that sounds great. It sounds like a good way to kick it off.
Let me. Another thing that's in the works. It's not finalized yet, and I love water. I love things to do with the water, rivers and all that kind of environmental issues or stuff. I'm going to find a way to explore the 1,500 miles of the Colorado River.
Oh.
The Colorado River supplies 25% of the U.S. population's water supply. And it's not much of a river in places. Mm-hmm. It starts 30 miles from Silverthorne, we're at Silverthorne, Colorado. It starts in Rocky Mountain National Park, and that's where the Colorado River starts. So over some 2 or 3 year period, the plan is to either walk it, float it, drive it, swim it, boat it, or train it from the start all the way to the Gulf of California where it discharges, 1,500 miles.
Yeah.
Now, along that path, there's dozens of amazing infrastructure projects. Hoover Dam, Lake Powell, Lake Mead, the canals that take water from the Colorado River to California. So I'm on the Colorado River Water Authority as a volunteer member. So I'm already have people that I'm starting to line up that will help me make this happen.
Wow.
So I think it's going to take about 2 years to do it.
That's a book in the writing right there.
Well, there is a book written about it, Where the Water Goes. So that's where I kind of got the idea. But I'm going to take I'm going to fish a lot of it. I'm going to try to catch fish all along it.
That sounds like a great way to spend some time.
Yeah, that will be perfect.
Yeah. It just feeds, like you're saying, even your cruise. It's feeding that knowledge, that curiosity, that how do things tick, and it's good to see.
Yeah,
good to see.
Continuous learner.
Yeah, well, and you're leaving a lot of it behind with us, which is we're all thankful that along the way you've imparted a lot of knowledge and a lot of questions that make us think, and that's going to be missed for sure.
Well, I think we're in a great position. I'm excited about the role Susan's got and the way she's going about it. She's got a lot of different opportunities ahead of us, and she has some things that she's going to have to do that I didn't have to do, and I know she's the right person to accomplish that. So I'm confident in what she and the rest of the leadership team, what you're going to do, what Joe and John and Bo will do, what the business unit leaders will do. There's just so many great things happening here.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be part of SSR.
Yeah, going out at the top too, which is nice, like you said.
It is a good time to be departing SSR.
Yeah.
In a very strong financial position. And,
yeah.
But not a but to it, and we are primed. It's like a springboard. We're ready for new things.
Yeah, saying going out at the top is probably not right. It's really not going out at the top. It's going out on an upswing
with a lot of momentum, with a lot of positive opportunities. In the article I wrote in the June One Wire about jumping the curve, the S curve. We're going to have to pivot, and we're pivoting now, and we're going to jump this next business curve.
Yeah,
and that's when you do, that's how you create a sustainable business. Is you figure out when you're kind of plateauing, and when you're doing things you think you've got it figured out, is when you need to be jumping the curve to something else.
Right. And you don't want to go down the other side. You want to go up the next curve.
You don't want to hit that peak because, another example that you all probably have heard me say, I know many of you have, if you're driving or pedaling a bicycle up a hill, the worst thing you can do is stop pedaling, because as soon as you stop, your momentum, forward momentum stops and you go backwards.
Yeah. So
maybe just a little bit, but you got to keep going. And you can't take your foot off the gas. You can't stop pedaling. And what's great right now is we have a lot of people that are pedaling up that hill together, and that's going to be the formula for success, the recipe for great things to come.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate everything you've done for me and my career, and so many more here at SSR. So thank you.
It's been fun. The other, I guess, find the joy and make new memories. I mean, that is something that I kind of live by. And there's a lot of things that I've done with clients. There's a lot of things I've done with people that work here who we have made some amazing memories. And we've had a lot of fun doing it. And it's easy to lose track of that. It's easy to get too involved in the day-to-day that you forget about having fun. And I know I sometimes do that. Intensity is probably not is probably a term people use with me occasionally. Yeah. But you can still have fun.
Oh yeah, I remember drinking moonshine with you in a back alley in China somewhere.
I remember some of that. I remember the first part of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I remember that little pawn shop place we went. Not pawn shop, but
I'm not sure what it was.
I don't know. We bought a bunch of stuff. Is all I remember.
Yeah, that's the one that was hidden in the back alley. We thought for sure we were going back there to get mugged.
I didn't think we would come out of that one.
That was in Beijing, I think. Yeah. That was a fun trip.
But it's been a great, amazing group of people to work with. I can't say enough about the opportunities I've been given. Yeah. And everybody, I hope everyone at SSR gets a chance to fulfill their career desires, their personal goals, and this can be the place we do it. And I want to challenge our managers and our leaders to make sure that that's part of your mission too.
Yeah.
Is to help make that happen.
Very good.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
It's been a fun ride.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks for joining us for this episode of SSR On Air. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. You can also connect with us on social media. Links to everything can be found in the show's notes. Take care, everyone. See you next time.